Hello. Hi, my people. How are you? I am Amy Carrier. I'm doing this broadcast today for Amy Carrier's Classroom, and I put it on my personal profile, and I'm just going to stay here. But thank you to those of you who are here. I'd like to talk about one thing today, which is actually the foundation of everything else. And that is, who are your people? Who do you surround yourself with? And I consider this a very difficult life skill to learn, to understand, and to manage and to master in your life. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to ask you some questions. It's a really interesting thing because what I've observed is that people kind of operate by default and on autopilot throughout their entire lives. And this causes for a very unhealthy life in a lot of ways. And it keeps you from growing the way you really can and need to and should. I hate the word should, but should grow. We all should evolve into the best version of ourselves we can possibly be. So let me start from the beginning here and say hello again. Welcome. I'm Amy Carrier, and I am doing this broadcast today for my virtual classroom, Amy Carrier's Classroom on Facebook. And if you are not a member, I invite you to join right now. It's free. All of the lessons, oh my gosh, there are like 200 free lessons that have been done and broadcast live by myself and a dozen other mentors around the world who are experts in their field. And I encourage you to come join us there, be part of the community, and learn some valuable life skills. Now, I'm calling it life skills because life encompasses everything. Your personal happiness, your understanding of the world, the goals you set for yourself, the choices you make in your life in terms of what you want to do, how you want to create your career, what you want to do for work, where your money's going to come from. And what I'm talking about today is the other piece that fits into every single one of those things. And that is the people that surround you, the people you surround yourself with. Because none of us lives like a monk, and we all have to be surrounded by our people. And we need the best possible people to help us grow and evolve and lift us up. If you want me to summarize this into just like one point, to make a lesson so that you understand what you need to do to live your best life and surround yourself with the people who are appropriate and best for you, then I summarize it into, if someone makes you feel good, keep that person around. If someone makes you not feel good, you need to keep that person out here. And if someone is making you feel just really bad about who you are, you gotta get rid of that person. And this is a very, very difficult topic. It's a very difficult process. So I would love to know in the comments, who has already started this process of figuring out who your people are and making some tough decisions and making some cuts and getting rid of some people who are unhealthy for you, people who bring you down, people who don't lift you up, don't appreciate you, don't love you, don't take care of you, don't help you live your best possible life. Sometimes those people are lifelong friends. Sometimes they are family members. Sometimes it seems like an impossible thing to cut someone off. But that process and that necessary step is what actually allows you to step into your fullness and to bring in the right people. And I'm going to use some terms. If you know them, great. If you don't, then welcome. But you need to surround yourself with people who are of high vibration, people who lift you up. And really lift you up, it's a feeling, right? So I can describe it as people who make you feel healthy, happy, proud of yourself, like you're a good person, like you're doing well. But it's a feeling that might not actually have words. It's a feeling that's just feels like a high vibration. Have you ever been around somebody or met somebody and you just kind of like them? Like you just want to spend more time with them? It's because they make you feel good. It's because their vibration is high. So that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You need to find those people and surround yourself with those people who bring you. And we do feel beholden to people, kind of like we owe people parts of ourselves and having a relationship with us because of history, because of blood, because of family, because of just a weird dynamic you've created with someone. You have to become conscious of those and say, is this lifting me up? Is this making my life better? And if not, you have to let them go and make room for the people who are appropriate for you, who will lift you up and make your life better. It's really simple. I mean, there's not a real reason for me to talk about this for any more than just a couple of minutes, because that's all it is. If you look at your life, or if you make a list of all of the people in your life, look at it and say, does this person bring me up or bring me down? Lift me up or kind of pull me down? And ask yourself, is there something that I can do differently here? Or is this a situation where I just need to let this person go or reduce the amount of time I'm spending with this person? And so obviously the whole idea of lifting yourself up and surrounding yourself by people who make you feel good about yourself, that means you can live your best possible life. You can feel strong. You can face challenges because you've got a team. You've got a support system that lifts you up. And if you don't have that, if you don't feel like you have that, then it's important to take stock, to do some investigation into your life and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I allowing these people to take so much from me, or to bring me down, or to bring me into their negativity or their drama? Because that doesn't help you. And the reason I wanted to bring this up today is because I think of people in our lives as the garden around us. And there's a Hopi Native American prophecy that talks about tending your own garden and finding your people, surrounding yourself with your people. Know your land, tend your garden. Your garden is your people. Know your water. It's all about those things that make our lives possible, and they come back down to the most simple things. Our people, the food we eat, the water we drink. Is the land healthy? Are we healthy? That's the basics of life. And if you don't have those basics, you can't do anything else. You can't launch a rocket from a place of being in desperation and being in depression and loss and fear and doubt. You can't build a dream from that place. So you've got to dial back to these basics and figure out who's in your garden. Do you have beautiful roses? People who protect you and bring out the beauty in you. Protect you, thorns, right? Bring out the beauty in you. That's the beauty of the flower, of the rose. Do they help you bloom? Or do they just make you wither? Think about these people in a different frame of mind so that you can actually see that if the soil is rich and there's a diverse group of flowers around you, and diversity in gardens is what makes gardens beautiful, because there are all sorts of diverse nutrients and chemicals that are coming out of different kinds of plants. That's why farmers always move their crops from this plot to this plot. Move the corn from here to here, plant the wheat here, plant the beans over here, and rotate the whole thing so that the nutrients in the soil remain diverse and rich. So who's feeding your soil? Who's in your garden? And it's hard. It's hard if you have to do some weeding in your garden and get rid of some people, get rid of some weeds. So if you have weeds, you really have to look at that and say, why? Why am I letting the weeds overtake my garden, my life, my happiness, my joy, my peace? Lisetta says, sometimes you have to say farewell to old friends. Yeah, it's hard to do, she says, but new friendships will appear on your horizon. Absolutely. And that's the thing. If your consciousness is not focused on those dramatic relationships and those people who bring you down and make you feel like you've done something wrong and second guess yourself, if you don't have that distracting you, then you've got this pathway open for new people and new experiences, new relationships to come in. So Khalid says, how about if we are surrounded by negative people? How do we deal with them? My friend, you can't deal with negative people. You have to really do your work and say, okay, let me just create an example from what you just said. If you make a list of all of the people who surround you, let's say you come up with 15 people and 10 of them are negative, it's up to you. You can live your life and you'll never get a single moment, a single day back of your life. Your life starts, goes for an undetermined amount of time, and then it's done. So you look at that list, and if 10 of your 15 people are negative and bringing you down, you have to get real with yourself and say, okay, I need to separate myself from the majority of these 10 people and go through the list. Sometimes you have to break up with people. Sometimes you have to break up with family. That's hard. I know, I've done it. And it's not a good feeling, but it's a process of self-love and self-respect. So I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm just going to tell you that it's something you have to look at. And it's up to you ultimately if you say, nope, I've got to stay with all of these people, even if they're negative and bringing me down, I just have to stay with them. And if that's the case, you're just not ready. So you have to go through more time of the negativity and get lower, hit your rock bottom, so to speak, in order to say, I can't do this anymore. I need people who make me feel good about my life. If you are blaming people, if you're looking around and saying, I really don't like this person and I just fake it when I'm around them, then get honest with yourself about what you're doing. It's not something you have to do right now. It's not something you should do without thought, but it is something you need to do with reflection and with a cloak of self-love and self-respect and self-care. Because nobody else is going to take care of you except for you. That's one of those secrets. I tell you guys a lot when I do my broadcasts that, hey, that's a secret. No one's going to give you permission to do anything. No one is going to ask you or tell you to go live your best possible life. No one's going to say, hey, I think you should invent this amazing thing or start this incredible business. These are all things that have to be born from you, but they can't be born from a garden that's filled with negativity. So if you feel like you're struggling in your life, then you need to look around at your garden. You need to look around at where you are getting your sense of self-worth and confidence. And of course, all of this comes from within. But if you're constantly letting people take you down and absorb what you do have, and then they just bring you down further, you need to get real with yourself. So that's why I said from the beginning, this is a life skill. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And it takes time. And it's a process, and it means going through a process of loss and saying goodbye to people. And in my case, I did that from a very spiritual place where I know and I understand that my life is only this long. And my belief is that all of the souls that I encounter in my family, in my friends circle, in my work, all of those souls, we all know each other. And we'll all be back together in the spirit realm after our lives are over. And my belief also tells me that we will have multiple lifetimes together. And the point of anything we experience in life is to help us grow. So if you're holding on to somebody who's brought you down, maybe you can reframe your thinking and say, maybe the purpose of this relationship was to teach me self-love, self-respect, self-value. And then you can just honor that relationship and say, thank you, friend. Thank you, relative. You taught me how important it is for me to take care of myself and to not allow people to bring me down. And you taught me that by being a person who brought me down. So without those challenges in life, we never learn anything. We never grow. So we need those challenges, those challenging situations, the losses, the pain, the suffering, the negative people to teach us to love ourselves. So when I went through the process, and it wasn't like I just sat down one day and said, I'm getting rid of these 8 people. It was an understanding that people were taking too much from me and that I was sacrificing myself to others. And why? Why? Were they giving enough to me? It's a difficult process. It's a difficult question to ask yourself, and then to hold the mirror up in front of yourself and say, I'm actually allowing myself to suffer. I don't want to do that anymore. Here's what I have to do. And sometimes it's just one person. It's just one relationship that makes you feel bad after you're with that person, or when you think about that person, or you get off the phone with that person, you say, oh, or you avoid answering the phone, or you avoid going and hanging out with that family member because they bring you down. So you just make that decision. I can't be around that person. And it can be a decision inside yourself that you don't have to, go put up a billboard. You don't have to announce it to anybody. You just stop interacting with that person. You could do that. I've done it many, many times. Friends and family members, and work situations and colleagues. I have left teams of people who I thought, even if it wasn't all of the team members, if I thought there were toxic elements in that team, I've left. I've left friendships. I have separated from family members who were toxic to my mental, emotional health. And I'm telling you this simply because if I can do it, and you're thinking about, hey, I need to do a better job of surrounding myself with good people, then you can do it too. Okay, so I think you guys probably understand what I'm saying here, and I'm really just trying to encourage you to see that your future, what lies ahead for you, depends on how you value yourself. Depends on your garden that you are building your future from. And your garden is your people. It's not just your mind, it's your people. Your people feed your heart. Our relationships are our greatest teachers. It would be wonderful, and I believe that this is on the future horizon for our collective human family, that we will find peace together. We will have relationships in the future. It might be future lifetimes, but we will have purely loving relationships. And the way we get there is by bringing peace into this world. And the way to bring peace into this world is to bring peace into our personal lives. And if there is any discord, any warring in your life, there's still war in the world. So when people say we need to end war, we need to end, all of these suffering that's happening on the planet, it starts here. Are you working on ending the suffering in yourself? Are you doing those very, very difficult things that you never learned in school that you have to do? There is a selfishness that's healthy and necessary for your survival. No one is here to sacrifice themselves and martyr themselves for the greater good. We are here to learn our unique lessons, all 7 billion of us, our unique lessons of self-love within the pain, the difficulty that surrounds us, the challenges we were born into, to find the self-love and take care of ourselves and build a community, a garden, a life for ourselves that nurtures us so that we can live the longest life possible and build peace in the world by building peace within ourselves and within our communities and within our families. That's it. That's really the simple answer to world peace. It's peace within the self. And it's not selfish to build peace within yourself. Lisetta says, always trust your own opinion if it's based on love and respect. Absolutely. And she gave me the rose. So Lisetta is one of the roses in my garden. I can absolutely say that. And my garden includes people I've never met in person, people I've met through this project of my virtual classroom. My garden includes friends who live far away from me, who maybe I see on occasion, every year or a few years, but it's mostly a phone relationship. And my garden includes the people around me, the people I'm close to, the people I choose to be with. And trust me, I choose the people that I surround myself with. No question. I have let go of so many people, and it's not that everyone's a bad person. It's that their energy doesn't match with mine. And I value myself. I respect myself. And I'm not going to waste my precious time. I've already experienced loss of time, loss of health, loss of money, loss of all sorts of things. I'm not going to lose any more time by sacrificing it to people who aren't lifting me up. This idea of, who are your people? Who's in your garden? How are you tending your garden? If you have a garden that just overgrows with weeds, and there are weeds that will just eat up an entire garden and just destroy the whole thing, and then your garden's gone. Your roses are gone, your daisies are gone, your brown-eyed Susans are gone, your tulips are gone, everything's just gone. And if you want to continue, if you actually want to do some deeper thinking on this with the metaphor of the garden, you can think about how your garden has different flowers at different seasons. So in the springtime, the first flower that comes up is in my country, is the daffodil or the tulip. Those are the early spring flowers that will bloom through the snow. So that's the type of friend you'll have during one season of your life. And sometimes, a year cycles, right? So your tulips will be here in this part of your life, but maybe they're not in the summertime and they're not in the fall, but they come back next spring. So understand this metaphor of the garden and tending the garden, getting rid of the toxic weeds, the weeds that are choking out the plants. And it's your garden, so you can make it a perfectly organized, garden with trimmed hedges and specific flowers and specific bushes, or you can have like a wild growing English garden. But even a wild growing English garden is tended. It looks random, or it looks like a wildflower field, but it's not actually random. The big reason this came to me now is because I'm doing some deep reflection about how I've grown, how I've changed in the last decade, because we are in the last month of such an amazingly life-changing decade, from 2010 to 2020. For me, I am not the same person that I was back then. I am not the same person that I even was a year ago. So I am doing my work and thinking about how far I've come, where I want to go. And the biggest thing that I see when I look back at where I was in 2010, oh my gosh, I went through some very, very difficult things. Very difficult things. And had to kick people out of my life. Had to break up with a lot of different kinds of people, from very, very close people, very close friendships, to career stuff. So much of what existed in my life back then doesn't exist anymore because I'm not the same person. So I'm thinking about, where am I going in the next decade? Where am I going in this amazing, life-transforming year of 2020. And that's my gift to you today, is to present this question to you and ask you to take some time to reflect and do some of your own work as well. Kern says basically weeds have to have a value too, but that continued struggle to beautify your garden by removing the weeds makes your garden beautiful and others not that beautiful. Sure, yeah. I mean, the weeds, it's interesting because I love a wild English garden. I love something that looks random. But I know that there's really no randomness. Even in nature, there's no randomness. So looking at those weeds and understanding that the weeds have a purpose, like Karam said. So if I look at my life, I didn't just weed my garden back in 2010. I did it all year of 2011 because I started realizing the path that I was on in 2010 was not something I could sustain. Physically, mentally, emotionally, none of it. So I started this, and it wasn't even like a conscious thing. It just started happening. I just started realizing that I had to get rid of people and situations. And then years passed and I started doing deeper spiritual work. And then I started consciously doing this and trying out lots of different people, lots of different environments and situations. And I found some people who are my people. And now, you know, they've moved or I've moved and we don't see each other that much, but they're still my people. So I'm always looking for my people and bringing new people into my garden because I want the best possible soil for my life until my life is done. You can't just be stagnant and say, okay, this is my life. I'm done. I figured it all out. Sorry, people. It doesn't work that way. Michael Cillian says, yes, constantly a journey by being with the best people for the current quest. Yes. And, you know, Michael, I know that you understand this idea that I just gave this kind of timeline for myself. I am not the same person in 2010 that I am now. And I'm thinking about, where am I going? I have let go of most people that I had in my life back then. And I know that you've let go of some people. And difficult. It's very, very difficult. But it's so essential for our lives, guys. So that's what I have to say. And you know what's funny? You know how animated I am when I talk? I wore these jingling earrings. I have no idea if you guys can hear them, but I can hear them because they're right under my ears. Probably because I needed to remain uplifted a little bit talking about this, because it's not easy. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you guys about my own experience by not giving you specifics, but I know darn well every single one of those people I had to break up with, kick out of my life, move on from, let go of. I know all of my own personal stories, and I know that that was challenging. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm not going to lie to you. But look for the people who do uplift you, and when you let go of the difficult people, move toward those people who uplift you. Get a refill of their love, their appreciation, and then continue to move forward. And then you can build the life you want to build. You can build the business. You can pitch your business idea. You can finish these projects. I hear from so many people that it just doesn't get off the ground, And guess what? I've been there. I'm not saying this is the only reason things don't get off the ground, but if you are not in the right frame of mind, if you are not confident enough in who you are, if you don't have the foundation that will allow you to launch your rockets, nothing's going to change in your life. And life moves quickly. Before you know it, your opportunities are gone. So, my friends, that's what I want to say. I wish you the best of everything. And I can tell you that in this month of December, I'm going to be talking about the things that I'm doing to prepare myself for 2020. So that's all I'm doing. This is all life skill stuff. I am taking account myself. I am looking at what's coming for me. I'm looking at the challenges before me. How am I going to face them? What are the situations I need to respond to differently? All of that. So I encourage you to do the same, because if you do this, you build peace in your life, and your peace expands to the rest of the world. And this is how we create a world that becomes a peaceful place for all of us. So on that note, my friends, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next week. Thank you.